Hi, this is Mike Lipke presenting a brief introduction to matrix prospecting. I used to use prospecting results from Fusion to give feedback to my sellers, but when Fusion was replaced by Matrix, I lost a valuable resource. I set out to find out if Matrix had anything similar that I could use, and I found it. I'd like to share what I found with anyone who may be interested. Let's jump over to Matrix and I'll show you what prospecting statistics are available and where to find them. I'm now on my Matrix home screen, and I have found two ways to access the prospecting statistics that Matrix provides. There may be more, but these are the two that I have found. Our first one is to go up to the tabs at the top of the page under My Matrix and select My Listings. Now, once you do that, you'll get a copy or a page that shows your listings. And then there's one more box up here. There's an option box. It says Show. Select that. And then go down to My Hit Counters. And your listings will now be presented with the hit counters. So these are the parameters that are made available. And we'll look at those in more detail in a moment. I want to show you the other way to get here. I just want to mention that if you've been on the screen before, the next time you come back and go through My Listings, you won't have to go through My Hit Counters again because it'll remember that you've been here. So let me go back to the home screen again, and let's just show you the second way to get there. Under My Matrix, if you click the first option, which is Summary, and then under the second major heading there, it says My Listings, and there's a bunch of individual listings underneath here, you'll see My Hit Counters again. You select that, and it'll bring you right to a list of your listings with all the hit counters. Now, these are the prospecting parameters that Matrix provides that are different than what Fusion provided, but we'll go into detail here in a moment. Okay, now that we've reached that page of Matrix hit counters, this is what Matrix presents, their equivalent of what we used to have under Fusion for prospecting parameters. So let's go over in detail what some of these parameters are. First of all, if you mouse over these headings for each of the parameters, you'll get a brief description, so that'll help you out. Also, I found a reference on the internet by doing a Google search. If you put in Matrix hit counters on Google, you'll get a bunch of returns. If you look at the one of the first two or three, it identifies a PDF called Hit Counter Matrix User. And if you download that, I think it's like a 2-page PDF. It'll give more detailed explanation for each of these different parameters. Now, I'll try to cover them verbally here in the video, but I would recommend you download that for your own use. The first set of parameters, starting with client portals, client views, client favorites, and client possibilities, are all seem to be related to the client portals that we as realtors can set up for our clients. The first entry, client portals, is defined to be the number of client portals that your listing has been emailed to. The second one, client views, is the number of times your listing has been viewed in client portals using the full display, or I guess a detailed full listing. Client favorites is the number of client portals where your listing has been flagged as a favorite, and client possibilities is the number of client portals where your listing has been flagged as a possibility. The next two parameters, auto emails and previous 14-day views, are related to auto search emails. Auto emails is defined to be the number of auto email searches in Matrix where your listing matches the search's criteria. And this one here, previous 14-day views, is the number of emails viewed in the past 14 days. So I guess that means that the client has actually opened up the email. The next two items, agent published, agent rejected, are related to using an auto search in concierge mode, where the agent will either accept or reject a listing as it comes up before it's been sent to the client. So agent published is defined as the number of searches where your listing was presented to an agent in concierge mode and the agent accepted it and it was sent on to the client. Agent rejected is just the opposite, as the number of searches where your listing was presented to an agent in concierge mode, but the agent rejected it. The last two parameters are not defined in that handout that I found, but Agent IDX, I assume, is the number of detailed views that people have looked at your listing over an IDX link. Now, I haven't found anything other than 0 entries in this field, so I'm not sure if that's actually working, enabled, or maybe it's not something that works with the setup that we have. But that's my best guess as to what this is. Now, the agent views seems to be active. Values come back, and that I believe, the way I look at it, is that the number of times other agents have actually pulled up, the detailed listing for a detailed view for your listing. So there's one reference here. The documentation I found identified some important things to remember about the matrix hit counters. Number one, the client counts only include active portals. If a client does not visit their portal for over 90 days, this will decrease the hit counter value. Secondly, the hit counter values are recalculated nightly, and the auto email counters only include active auto email searches. If an agent changes the criteria so that your listing no longer meets the search criteria or deletes the search, this will decrease the hit counter value. Okay, so that's the basic explanation or discussion on what prospecting parameters are available through Matrix and where to find them. Now, there's one more presentation that you might find useful, and basically you get to that, it's an historical graph. So under client portals, client views, and agent views, if you select any one of those parameters, the actual value itself, let's do that, you'll get a historical graph. Now, under the graph, you have the option down here of showing what data you want to present. So I'll turn it all on for you. You see the IDX views, which has always been 0, at least that's all I've been able to find, is presented in yellow, this line on the bottom. Portal views, which are views that clients have looked at your listing, are shown in blue, and agent views are shown in red. Now, there's another option under time frame. So this one's showing 4 weeks. We can go to all, so we show the total history, or we can do the past, well, we already did that, past 3 months and past 4 weeks. So this is the most recent 4 weeks here. And down at the bottom of the screen, there are a couple of other options. One is to cancel or close. You can also close the window at the top corner, or you can set it up and actually email this graph to a client or to yourself, or you can actually print it. So that wraps up my presentation of hit counters. That's the Matrix version of the Fusion prospecting statistics, and I hope you found this video helpful. Thanks for viewing it, and this is Mike Lipke signing off.